Perek Dalet, chapter 4, Kisufim Legu'ula. Kisuf, the word kisuf, is the desire for redemption. And it, of course, comes from the same shore as kesef, as silver does. Hisorurus masis legula. Actual awakening for redemption. We've already clarified previously that the first parts of Gula are kibbutz galios, gathering of the exile, and the land of Israel from its part gives its fruit, right, for the exiles to have.
Yeah.
And now we have to understand, we have to clarify how this process begins. We'll start with some of the words of Yehuda Halevi at the end of the Kuzari. Ata takum turachem tzion ki es lechanana kivo moed. You get up, have mercy on Zion, because the time of her grace, her favor has arrived, because the time has arrived. Ki ratzu avadecha es avanecha, because your servants desire your stones, v'esafra yachonenu, and they find grace in your dirt. Rotzei lamar, this is to say, Rabbi Yehuda Levi says, Ki Yerushalayim amnam tivanei, k'shiyichsefu b'nei Yisrael la tachlisa kosef, that Israel will in fact be rebuilt when the children of Israel desire it with the ultimate desire, ad shichonenu avaneha v'afra, until they find grace in her stones and in her dirt, right? When will Israel be rebuilt again? The Kuzari says, right? Kashiyichsefu b'nei Yisrael la, when b'nei Yisrael again desire it. And how will they desire it? Tachlisa kosef, with the ultimate desire, meaning there's nothing more that they desire than Eretz Yisrael, right? And this type of desire is not only something that you think about, it's something you do something about, right?
So that would that be the first Shilutzi?
Let's look a little bit more and we'll see. But yes, certainly that is an expression of it.
Mm-hmm.
The Sefer Charedim, which was brought by the Shla, Sefer Charedim, or Rishon, says, "V'tzarech kol ish Yisrael lechavev es Eretz Yisrael v'lavo aleha me'afsei aretz," and that all of Israel, every man of Israel, has to love the land of Israel and to come into it from the ends of the earth, b'tshuka gedola, with a great passion, keben el chekimo, like a baby for its mother's breasts, ki techilas avonenu shnikba lanu b'bris ladoros, the first thing that was established for our covenant for the land, yan ma'as nuba, because we didn't like it, shenamar, as it says, v'yimasu be'eretz chemda, and we hate it, meaning what caused us to be torn away from Eretz Yisrael? V'yimasu be'eretz chemda, we hated the beloved land. Upidya nafshenu hera yiyeh, and the redemption of our soul should soon come. Siv, as it says, ki ratzu avadacha ves avaneha, when your servants desire her, want her stones, yes, afra yechonu, and they find grace in her dirt. Most people don't find grace in dirt, right?
Yeah.
That's what you try and get rid of. No, the dirt of Eretz Yisrael is special. V'sham nemar, as it says, atatakum turachem tzion, and you should get up and have mercy on Zion. The source of Rabbi Yehuda Levi is from these Pesukim themselves in Tehillim, just like the Sefer HaCharedim that the Shla brought. Atatach terachem tzion, you should get up and have mercy on Zion. When is it going to be this? Eis l'chonana, when we find her grace. Emasai kiva moed, when the time comes. When is the time when we know that Israel is going to get this grace? Ki ratzu avadacha esavaneha ve'esafro yachonanu. When we like the stones, the pebbles that are caught in our shoes as we're walking, they're pebbles of Eretz Yisrael. That's important. The dirt that dirties our clothes, if it's the dirt of Eretz Yisrael, that's great. No problem with it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The Orach Chaim HaKadosh writes a similar thing. Hagulat ye b'ha'ir libos b'nei Yisrael. The Geula will be when the hearts of Israel are awakened. V'yomer lehem, hatov lechem, ki teishvu chutz. When they say to themselves, is it good that we live outside of Eretz Yisrael? Golim mi'al shulchan avihem, exiled from the table of our fathers, right? The need for being inspired to practical expressions of the love, right? Rav Teichtel brings in his Sefer Em Habadim Smecha. The third section, which is 20th part of it. V'altiv v'hel beruchacha ladun ulifsog she'en lanu lasos davar be'inyonei haga'ula. You should not be confused in your spirit and judge and decide that we should not do anything in regards to the redemption. Ela niyeh b'shei v'al taseh. We should just sit around and do nothing. V'namtin ad shivo HaMashiach, and wait until Mashiach comes. When he will pick us up and take us to our land and our inheritance. Rav Teichtel wants us to abandon the mistaken idea that the appropriate approach to messianic redemption is sit and wait and do nothing, right? We should sit patiently and wait for Mashiach to come. That this idea was, and still today, is very widespread among many people in Klal Yisrael. Rav Teichtel continues, Kasher Rabim Ibnei Yameinu, as many of our people think this, that people should just wait for Mashiach to come. V'afilu Rabbanim v'Gedolei Torah. Even rabbis and Gedolim, Choshvim u'mitarim latzmam ki be'inyan gulasenu, who draw a picture for themselves that concerning our redemption, v'kasher Rav Gadol Echad Doresh Barabim, and one great rabbi taught publicly, Shein lasos davar b'zeh, afilu b'binyan v'yishuv aretz. We should do nothing. We shouldn't build the land. We shouldn't settle the land. We are allowed to do absolutely nothing. Ela lahamtin ad bias Mashiach. We should wait for Mashiach. Sheyifrach lanu al yidei av, that he will come to us on a cloud. V'yisau tanu ba'avim l'Eretz Yisrael, and he will take us in clouds to Eretz Yisrael. He says it's not only many ordinary people in the nation, but there are also Rabbanim and Gedolei Torah, right, that have this mistaken idea, right? And he says one great rabbi, meaning of the previous generation, who he does not name, although I think his audience all knew who it was clearly the Munkacher. And he says, "V'garam lozos yan shelo yirad la'omko shel halachazu." What caused this is he didn't go to the depths of this halacha. Zushaya achas mina halachos ha'amukos. This is one of the most deep halachos that exist. Omishelo hemikba ein lo shum hasaga bazeh. Someone that didn't understand this, right? He has no idea of what we're talking about. And Rav Drukman writes in this, Mishalo lamad l'mashal Tur Yoredea, someone that never learned the Tur on Yoredea. Einu yochol l'sog b'dinei yisur v'heter. He can't pass in the law of what's kosher and what's not kosher. V'isur v'heter. Or amnan yochol liot talmid chacham. He can be a great talmid chacham. Af b'tuchum shelo lamad. But in an area that he did not study, ech yifsok. How can ketzad yifsok? How can he pass in there? Minayan hayeda. Where does he have the knowledge from? Ein ze omer she'eno talmid chacham. This doesn't mean he's not a talmid chacham. El shebetchum mesuyam lo asak v'ketzad im kan yeda. If he didn't involve himself in one particular area, how is he going to know? V'hu adin l'misha lo lamad hilchos atuliyos baretz. The same is true of someone who didn't learn the halachos that are dependent on the Eretz Yisrael. Keitzad yedav yisopehem. How will he know and paskin in them? It's like the OU in their guide to the Shemitah, where they said Rav Kook invented the Heter Mechira, right? A great rabbi in Kashrus in New York, it truly is, knows nothing about the halachas taliyos baretz. Never learned them properly. Choser yidiaso b'tuchumi melu. His lack of knowledge in these areas. Achen b'mai et gedulaso. They do have limiting on his greatness. Ach ein ze omer she'eino talmid chacham. This doesn't mean that he's not a talmid chacham. Rav Druckmann says he remembers when he was a young man. So this is like more than like 70 years ago. Mm-hmm. He says he had a difficult shaila. He went to one of the Gedolim in Yerushalayim, and he asked him, and the Gadol said, "Ani Rosh Yeshiva. I'm a Rosh Yeshiva. Tishaloti b'shat tosos enelecha. You ask me for pshat and tosos, that I'll tell you. But concerning the question, the shaila that you're asking me, halacha, go to this person. He sent him to Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank Sitzel. Said, go to him. He'll answer you. He deals with this, right? He's a great Rosh Yeshiva. He's considered one of the Gedolim in Yerushalayim at the time. But he dealt with shirim, giving shir. He didn't involve himself with psak halacha. You ask him a difficult shaila in halacha, never dealt with it. How's he going to know the answer? Many times when we're talking about matters of redemption, people say, didn't this rabbi know? Didn't this gadol know? This Rosh Yeshiva? How is it? The answer is simple. They never bothered, for whatever reasons, to go through all the material and to look at it in a serious way. And so from here, Rav Teichtel continues, Avi lecha l'divrei tana de Messiahli. I will bring for you a teaching that helps me. Halo hu atzadik hamakubal hachacham asvardi hanau. Is it not the tzaddik, the makubal, the Svardi chacham? He's talking about Yehuda Alkalai. This is what he writes. Lo talei al datcha shekei tzagulat. It should not occur to you that the end of redemption, the final redemption, bias mashichenu, ubias mashichenu echadhu, and the coming of Mashiach is one thing. V'yavo hakol b'bas achas b'yom echad. That everything occurs at one time, on one day. Ki be'emes shnei dvarim hema. There are two different things. Look in the Ani Mamin. You'll also see of the Rambam. You'll see there are two different things. V'yesh l'kol echad eis v'gavul v'zman l'kol chafetz. And each one has its own time and boundary that it's supposed to be in. V'omer reishis hagulat yeh al yedei Mashiach ben David. And the one who says that the beginning of the redemption will be through Mashiach ben David. Kamosh mikavim Dalas Amehar. It's like the poor Amaratzim, the poor ignorant people think. Hu Kamisha Omer Shekodem or Haboker Yizrach Hashemesh. This is like saying that before dawn, the sun shines. An hour before dawn, the sun starts shining. It's ridiculous. Shehem Devarim B'Telim Uvitalim. It's nothing. These voids are worthless and void. Ve'arah Gedola Hanimshechas Min Hadea Hanifsedis Azos. And the great evil that comes out from this useless idea, hu davar murgash. This is something that we feel. V'nisyon yochiach, and what we're going through proves it. Hadavar hazeh, and this thing, mitzvah la'omer b'fnei amaretz. We have to say it before the Amaratzim. Ubaruch hamikdash shemo rabim, baruch hamikadesh shemo barim. Blessed is the one who sanctifies his name in public. Lefidati, according to my opinion, mastir esed devar, someone that hides the matters of the coming of Mashiach. Humachal Hashem Shemaim b'saser. He is quietly committing a chilul Hashem. There's a process of redemption, and we have to work to bring forward this process. The desires from redemption have to be revealed from our side, and we have to express in practical ways this our desire. Next section, Kiva Moed. The appointed time is coming. The nation wakes up for this desire for redemption, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a practical matter. The fact that Klal Yisrael woke up, right, or did not wake up, let us say, before 5,000 years, before 500 years, right? Only in the last few generations have we seen this, right? This is a sign of Asarusa de Le'ela, that there was a waking up on high, meaning in the heavens, that caused Asarusa de Latata, that caused people on earth to start doing something. What we did in our generation, previous generations, that Am Yisrael is connected more and more to our land and is looking more and more to redemption, right? We see more people writing about Geula now than in the last 150 years than ever the previous 1,500 years before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The connection to Eretz Yisrael is being strengthened from all sides. There was an opening to this, right? But what brought us to do these practical things? Baruch Levi Epstein, the author, the son of the Aruch HaShulchan, he himself wrote the Torah Tamima and many other things. He connects to this from a midrash in Eicha Rabbah. Ufrosh Reshus L'Reglai, he spread out a net, a trap at my feet. Amar Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana, Imra Isa Saf Salim Leim Bavlim Munachim Beretz Yisrael, if you see benches filled with Babylonians sitting in Eretz Yisrael, Tzafa L'Raglav Shel Mashiach, you should go start looking for the footsteps of Mashiach. That's the midrash that the Torah Tamima quotes. And he explains this, follows the Torah Tamima. Many people don't realize this. The Torah Tamima not only wrote on Chumash, but he wrote on the 5 Megillas. Va'amar, and he said, Imri Sasaf Salim Leim Bavlim Beretz Yisrael, if you see benches full of Babylonians in Eretz Yisrael, Rotzei Lamar, this is to say, Im Tirei Ribui B'nei Hagolah, Olim Mibavel Eretz Yisrael, if you see that there are many people from the exile that are going up from Babel to Eretz Yisrael, or, it could be any place in exile, Lav Davka Babel. Siman Hu Shekodesh Baruch Hu Shav Esikates. It's a sign that Kodesh Baruch Hu is thinking about the end. V'yitachenod, and it is proper to think on this. Od de rumaz lamasha amar b'ksuvas. He's talking about what it says in Ksuvas. Kol olam Bavel Eretz Yisrael overba. Say anyone that goes from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael transgresses a positive mitzvah. Shnamar that says Shishpati eschem benos Yerushalayim b'tzvaos over Yelos Sadai im teiru v'im toru as ahava ad shtech that I adjure you, I make you take an oath, daughters of Yerushalayim, by the deer and the gazelles of the field, that if you will wake up the love to go to Eretz Yisrael, that's what to wake up the love means, until it is satiated. Kolomar, that is to say, ad shia alei ratzon mea kodesh baruch hu, until it is the desire of a kodesh baruch hu. V'im ken nifso shenase hisorus klalis leolos, when there is suddenly an awakening to go up to Eretz Yisrael, os hu, this is the sign, Ki yagia hashah haritzuya, that the desired time has arrived. V'zehu, and this is what it means. Im re'isi safsalim leim bavlim munachim beretz Yisrael. When you see many benches full of Babylonians near Eretz Yisrael, Kolomar, this is to say, ribuei ha'olim, many people that are making aliyah, tzafa l'raglav shel Mashiach, look for the footsteps of Mashiach. Rotzei Lomar, that is to say, Osu, this is the sign, Ki kavar omdos raglav b'shar Yerushalayim, that the feet are already at the gates of Yerushalayim. Similar things to what the Torah Tzmimah said were written 20 years before that, so 140 years ago approximately, by Rabbi Yoshua Mikutna in his Shilas and Shuvas Yeshuas Malko. Ki kibbutz hu, because the gathering of people in Eretz Yisrael, haschalta de geula. This is the beginning of redemption. Ubeprat ata, and all, especially now, shereinu hatshuka gedola, when we see the great desire, hem ba'anashim b'chusei erech, whether it be with those people who have less, aren't so chashuv, hem bebeinonim, the middle of the road people, hem b'yasharim b'vosam, the people that are completely straight and upright in their hearts. Karov levadei shnitzotzeitz ruach hagula. It is almost 100% sure, he says, that the spark of the spirit of redemption has started, right? He's saying the fact that we have throughout all of Klal Yisrael this desire to go up to Eretz Yisrael from all different parts, from people that are Shomer Shabbos, from people that are Toraniim, more involved in the Torah, from people that are Chilonim Legamrei, right?
Yeah.
This is showing that there is divine inspiration causing this to happen. And the last section in our chapter, Hisnotzitzutz Ruach HaGeula, the sparking of the spirit of redemption. The Heksherzei, in connection to this, Nitzayin Kama Uvdos HaKshuros L'Shichru Yerushalayim. We are going to have several ideas connected with the redemption in Yerushalayim that express the words of the Yeshuas Malko. I will say that one of the years that they had a party for Yom Yerushalayim, the evening of Yom Yerushalayim in Yeshivat Or Tzion, Rav Drukman says, Uzi Narkis, General Uzi Narkis, was the speaker, and he was the Central Front commander during the 6-Day War, right? He said there was no plan. We had no plan at all, not even a reserve plan for capturing Yerushalayim. We did, before the war, we did everything we could to convince the Jordanians not to go to war. Levi Eshkol, the Israeli prime minister, sent a message to King Hussein of Jordan, we have nothing against you, don't attack, we won't hurt you, everything will be fine. But that's not how it went. And also, many things occurred in the yeshiva that any one of them would be easy to explain. However, all of them together, it's showing you that something is happening. Before Rosh Chodesh Teves, there was a feeling in the yeshiva that they wanted to go up to Yerushalayim, to get as far as possible to the old city. And it wasn't so easy in those days because the Jordanians had snipers on the wall of the old city. So they went to one of the tallest buildings in Yerushalayim where they could look out and see the old city, see the Makom HaMikdash, and they read the various Pesukim that you're supposed to, and they tore Kriya. After the war, the mother of one of the children came to Rav Drukman and said, my son wanted to ask you, before the war, what was the halacha of tearing up sewing up the tear in the shirt? Because tears for parents, you're never allowed to fix. But is this like a tear for a parent or a tear for a sibling or a child where you are allowed to fix it? But now that we have Yerushalayim and no one ever should tear Kriya on it again, he's going to keep it as a memorial, frame it, put it on the wall, that once Yerushalayim wasn't in our hands. In the month of Adar, there was a kenes in the yeshiva of all the 12th grade high school seniors in religious high schools in all of Eretz Yisrael. There are many fewer people learning in religious high schools in those days than today, Baruch Hashem. Now we have many, many more. And the purpose was to convince people that they should continue on learning in yeshiva after high school. Has to learn, go to the army. No one was saying not to go to the army, and one person said at this, in Motzi Shabbos, "Anachnu tzrichim l'rosas etzmeinu k'chaylim Sheshochvim lemargalosav harabais. We have to see ourselves as soldiers. They're lying at the feet of Temple Mount, K'dei lichvoshosam, in order to conquer it, to take it, to redeem it. The speaker was Chanan Porat, Zechorno Levracha. Then he was a Talmid in yeshiva. He had already been in the army. He returned to the yeshiva after the army. And he was one of the founders of the settlement movement in Yehuda and Shomron. He founded the Gush. And 2 months later, he was one of the soldiers who was involved in liberating Yerushalayim, Beit Lechem, Hebron, and so on. Right? But that's what he said just before. Chol Moed Pesach, there was a national meeting of Bnei Akiva near Yerushalayim, and one of the people, Dr. Amnon Shapira, said that the next national meeting of Bnei Akiva should be in the Old City. And so there was the accepted version of the text that the meeting voted on was Havida Matila al Hanhalata Artzi. This session of Bnei Akiva puts upon the National Directorate of Bnei Akiva Lifol lahachdarat tnuat Yerushalayim atika bein chavrei tnua, that we should include within Bnei Akiva the old city of Jerusalem. A fourth thing, the Yeshivat Or Etzion is named for those people that survived the massacre in Gush Etzion, their children. It was originally established in their memory. And this area fell the day before Yom HaTzmaut. And there are always in the yeshiva remembrances for those people that fell in the Gush. Many of them didn't have any relatives. They were Holocaust survivors. They had no relatives to remember them. They remembered in the yeshiva. That year somehow developed among the student body an idea that we should go from the police station Bar Giora, the only place in pre-Six Day War Israel where you could see the Gush, and the families that survived, the women and children, was the only place in Israel where women and children were evacuated. The widows and orphans would go to that police station on Yom HaZikaron to look out over the Gush. So they decided that they would have a relay race from Bar Giora police station back to the yeshiva, right? And when they did this on Yom HaZikaron, going into Yom HaTzmaut, as the race was finished at the beginning of Yom HaTzmaut of Tafshin Chav Zayin, just before the 6 Day War, they sang spontaneously, "Anachnu od nachzor leGush Etzion." We will still return to Gush Etzion. And that Yom HaTzmaut, Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook Zitzal, at the party for Yom HaTzmaut, there's a night of learning in Merkaz Harav every Yom HaTzmaut, and they walk before dawn from their learning to the Kotel, to daven Vesikin at the Kotel, and they also do the same thing on Yom Yerushalayim and Hoshana Rabbah, as well as, of course, Shavuos. So there are 4 days a year in Merkaz Harav where they learn all night and go to the Kotel to daven Vesikin. And he said, screamed out in his speech, he said, Eifo Chevron Shalanu, where is our Chevron? Anachnu shochachim et zeh, are we forgetting this? Heichan Shechem Shalanu, where is our Shechem? V'Yericho Shalanu, and our Jericho. Aye, where are they? Hanishkachan, have they been forgotten? V'kol ever hayarden, and the other side of the Jordan River. Shalanuhu, it is ours. Kol regev v'regev, every clot of dirt. V'kol arba amos, and every 4 amos in Eretz Yisrael, kol chevel eretz v'kivra adamat shayachim la Eretz Hashem, every piece of land that is connected to the land of Hashem, habiyadenu levater afilu al meter echat mehem, can we give up on even 1 millimeter of it? The last point. In the 6 Day War, it opened on Monday morning. On the Wednesday morning, Yerushalayim was captured. On Monday and Tuesday, no one thought about freeing Yerushalayim. It just wasn't an idea yet. Like we mentioned from what General Uzi Narkis said, that they did everything possible to prevent war with Jordan. For somehow a decision was made in the yeshiva that they would stay up all night, Tuesday night, to learn, right? And they would learn Inyanei Yerushalayim, matters concerning Yerushalayim, so that they would help to free Yerushalayim. No one was thinking about freeing Yerushalayim. They just decided we're going to learn about Yerushalayim to free Yerushalayim. When you look at any one of these things, you can say it's mikre, it's just random occurrence. When you look at all of these things happening together, and similar things are happening throughout Eretz Yisrael, you have to say this is heavenly awakening of the Jewish people to return to its land. And when this is happening, and when we see the Simanei Geula, Kol mi sheyesh mocho b'kad kado, anyone with a brain in his skull has to see that what's going on around us is the process of redemption.